this is what I will be sharing with the entire batch. So we have these, we started the class on 10th November. These are things that we covered. And here we have covered data model, and now we are in case design. So we are towards the end of case design. I think yesterday what you did was about creating and editing flows. Now we are towards the end of case design. So what we're going to cover after this is user experience, automating business policies, reporting, integration, architecture and administration. So these are things that we're going to cover in the subsequent classes. So yeah, so these are things. So if you want to, so to cover the rest, probably you can join my other session, the next batch that starts after this. You can like be on week 1 and week 2 there. Apart from this, I think I might have some video recordings of the previous sessions. Those as well I can share with you. Right, so mostly I think you can do the video sessions. Let me see, or I can just sit with you one-on-one, maybe 1 or 2 sessions and see what I can cover for you. Right?
Yeah, okay.
Alright, so hey guys, so let's get started here now. I think there are some questions. Give me a second, I think I've got some queries here. Attachment category, privilege, touching to the case, let me see, configuration. Okay, Sudha, then you can share your screen. I think you've tried yesterday's exercise and you're not able to do it. Let me quickly take a look at your machine. Probably after the class I can take a look at your machine and then we can do it. Alright. So it's, I think just to answer your query, it's probably because you have not configured something, right? That attachment, if you have the right privilege, it should come up on your category. Alright, so even here I can just say attach category privilege. Alright. Okay, so what we're going to cover in today's configuration, today's session is about work status and work parties, and those are a couple of things that we're going to cover, and we're going to take a look at a little bit on what do you mean by theoretically, what do you mean by split for each and split join. We will go through theory first on what is split for each and split join. Okay, once we do that, we will start with work status and work parties. Those are a couple of things that we will also try to cover. And once we do that, then we will start with the exercise. Okay, so let me first tell you what is a split for each and split join. Those are like additional flow processing options available in Pega. Okay, so what primarily till now we have just seen like flows that move forward in a straight manner. That is, you have a flow which moves from status step 1 or assignment 1 to assignment 2 to assignment 3. It just moves forward like in a sequence, in a procedural manner. Now that may not be exactly enough to achieve some business requirements, and some of the business requirements is what we have in what we will be having in our application as well, wherein we want to have multiple assignments routed to multiple people at the same time. So till now we had like one assignment after the other, assignment 1, then you have assignment 2 that someone performs, then we have assignment 3. Now that that's like a sequence of like step 1, 2, 3 followed by each other. Now, what if you want a scenario wherein you want multiple assignments to come out? Okay, so let's go through a business use case for this so that you understand this more clearly. Okay, so just observe my screen here. So we are on day 12. So the business use case over here is, so we are assuming we have a life insurance claim case now, okay, and on this one, the requirement is that the person that whom we have, who's applying for this life insurance claim here, has not just one disease, he may have multiple disease. So when I enter this disease details here, he may enter like disease 1, okay, disease 2, and disease 3. Okay. Now what happens here is when it goes to a doctor for analysis, let's consider a real world scenario, assuming this person has some, first one is some neurological disorder. Okay. The second one is supposed to be some kind of not a neurology. This may be something like having to do with the bone. Okay, and this may have something to do with the eyes. Okay, so in real time, the same doctor may not be able to analyze all these 3 diseases. Okay, because the specialization here is different. So in such scenarios, we need 3 separate doctors to analyze this. So we'll have doc 1, so similarly 2, and then we'll have the doctor 3. So essentially, we need to have 3 assignments. So you have assignment 1, you have assignment 2, and you have assignment 3. Now the interesting challenge here is that, or even slightly interesting here about this particular business scenario, is that you never know beforehand how many assignments you have, because there may be a life insurance claim where one person enters 3, there may be one where one person enters only 1, maybe he enters only 2, or he enters all 3, or he enters 4 or 5 or something. So dynamically you have to generate multiple assignments at runtime. Okay, so in order to achieve this particular requirement, we have flow, a type of shape, or a type of assignment in Pega, which is called as split for each. Okay, for those of you who have other programming experience, consider the same as a for each loop. Okay, so you will just go inside a loop. Okay, so assuming that you have and inside the loop we will have something called as an assignment. Okay, so here we will have the loop counter is what we give. So when I give the number of loops is 3, it will just loop inside this and create 3 assignments. When the loop 2, it will just create 2, otherwise 1, or whatever the number you give. Okay, so the business, just to go over this again, the business requirement here is to ensure that we have multiple assignments to achieve this particular requirement, because we don't know beforehand what are the assignments that we will need in our application. And the loop that we have here will go in continuous loops based on the counter value that we give. Okay, so the split for each option takes us into this loop. Okay, so that is the shape called as a split for each shape. So let me open the split for each shape so that you understand this further. So I have it in my application. So maybe going further down here. So the way we have the loop in the application is via a page list. So we learned in our data modeling class that we have something called as a page list, which is supposed to hold the list of items that we have. Okay, so what we will do is this list of diseases that we have, we will hold it in a page list property. Okay, so this page list property is like we will have like disease 1, okay, disease 2, disease 3. That's what this page list will have, this list, and that we will give as an input into this shape called as split for each, and this is the configuration of the split for each. Right? So this essentially again just here, and here we give the page property, then we say what is a class, and then we say that same, we're going to loop through and create the same subflow. Okay, so it says to doctor for analysis, so we're going to just create the flow based on the loop options. Now if you see here, the UI when we completely build it, it will look like this. We'll have this option like a grid called as enter disease details. So say name of the disease, okay, and we say like 3 name of disease. Now you will see that it is assigned, it is gone to assignment 1, then assignment 2, and assignment 3. So the same thing is just repeated multiple times. So in real time, this may be assigned to a doctor, some doctor, this may be to another doctor, and this may be to a different doctor. Okay, so we just need to make sure that we can either have a screen flow or a simple flow there, but essentially we are going to just tell the system to go ahead and loop and create multiple items there. Okay, so that is split for each. Now there is an option here, now quite obvious, the options that we can have is, we have, suppose this was our main flow path, then we essentially like diverge into like multiple paths here. Okay, so we have like when we have entered multiple diseases, okay, we have multiple assignments created for each of these. In our case, sent to a separate doctor for based on the specialization, and then we tell that we create. Now the option is like this goes in like continuous path in its own. Now later at one point we want all of them to diverge into our main flow and move forward. Okay, now when the flow comes here at this particular point, okay, at this particular point when we are in the split for each, the system now needs to decide how to converge. Okay, what is the criteria for converge? Do you want all 3 flows to be completed, only then this main flow should continue? Or is it alright even if one of this flow is complete and then the flow continues forward? Or do you want like maybe 1 or 2 of them to complete and then you move forward in the flow? So that is what is decided on this join condition. Okay, so I'll explain this to you again. So when you have the main flow coming here, you enter multiple diseases, the flow splits up into multiple parts here. So, and then what happens is you will look at the configurations here like called as a join condition, which will decide when the flow will move forward based on which of these assignments get completed. So if at least one of the flows completed, then the flow can move forward. That is called as any condition. Okay, if all of them need to be completed and then the flow needs to move forward, that called as all. Then maybe if you want, you can just iterate over sum and then move, or just the sum condition here. Okay, so these are the 2 options. I'll show you these, iterate and sum. Sum means that you can enter the value. Iterate means that by default when it's inside the loop, you can exit out of the loop on some condition. This is exactly like a continue or a break condition in a loop in Java. So you have a loop, okay, and it goes inside, like you loop through it. At some point you can like break, or you can say break out of the loop condition. Okay, that is what this iterate actually does. So I'll just show you how the design comes out. But primarily these are the options for the join. Okay, so yeah. So if you see here, the code is very simple here. So it says for disease count is equal to 0, disease count less than total, then plus plus. Then you call a subprocess, then you exit when or break or something like that. This essentially this is the backend code for that. Okay, so yeah, so I just entered the options here. So yeah, so I've just put here exit condition and highest claim is approved, and just a little bit more information here. So this is the flow, and you have the disease list, and this is how the clipboard looks like. Okay, so you can see that 𝐴𝐼 data disease. Okay, the flow that we create will be in that particular class, and we just, so that's about the split for each option there. Right now, I think, yeah. Now there is one more option that is available, which is called as a split join. Okay, now what we had was just a loop which ensured that we go through multiple cycles within that. Now in order to create, there is one more option to create multiple path based on a page or another options there. So this is not exactly based on a page list, though this is something like okay, before I get into this, I'll give you one more example for split for each. Okay, so wait. Done. I'll just back it down here as split for each. Business use cases. So what happens is use case 1 is the disease list routed to different doctors. Okay, the other option is approval of approval flow. So this can be approval of a project or something. So we can send out approval, request for approval from all board members. Managers or board members. This is also a real-time use case. So you want an approval flow. So you want approval from multiple people. So you just get into a loop and you send out an email for it to everyone, or you give an assignment to everyone. Once everyone approves, then we are good to move forward. Okay. All right. Now this is the join condition. Okay. Now the other option that is available to create multiple flows, that is called as a split join. Okay. So what this does is, instead of looping in and creating the same flow over and over again, or the same starting the same assignment over and over again, what we have is we can create completely separate process. So, but this is not dynamic, right? That's like one important difference. This is going to be just static. So, which means that if you come here to this flow here, suppose this is a car insurance claim that we have, we want a flow to be sent to the auditor. Okay, the auditor has some series of works that he has to do. Then police is going to investigate if there was a rash driving. Then the attorney general is going to check what is the other person's fee. So we have completely different flows that need to be executed, and mind you, these are not dynamic. Okay, these are going to be static that we have. So that is exactly what split join does. Split, this is called a split join. So this is the UI for split join, which have multiple processes segregated as we move forward. Okay, but so the way that it will come is you have the flow coming here, you split out into multiple processes, like process 1, process 2. This is like pre-configured, right? And again, these can also diverge into one flow and it can move forward. Okay, this is called a split join. Now if here we have, you see here we have like flow 1, flow 2 and flow 3. Okay, so that's join conditions. Again, you have the join conditions. Do you want all of them to be completed, or some of them, or one of them, like whatever conditions that you want. Now apart from this, there's just one more condition here, which is called as a spin-off, which is nothing but a split join itself. But suppose your flow is moving forward in a straight path. Now you want some split off, like some flow which spin off from your current flow path, that it goes and does something and then it completes in its own life cycle. Okay, so that option is called as a split spin-off flow. Here, the spin-off flow. So whenever you have a sub process, you can just spin out of the normal path and then it will just go forward, and then your normal flow can just continue without any disturbance. So let me just recap what we learned. So we have split for each, which splits into separate things dynamically based on the list that we entered, and then it converges and moves forward. We have a split for each. So this is split for each, and split join will also, we have a pre-configured option to basically this is not dynamic. The split for each goes on separate flows. This is on the same flow. Okay, this is separate flow. Okay, that is split join, and then it joins and moves forward. The other option we have is just it wants to go off a separate flow and then we move forward. This is called as a spin-off flow. Okay, so three things that we have learned: split for each, split join, and spin-off flow. Okay, so if you see here the business use case of on the split for each, then we can have something like a split join. Use case is, say for example, you want the car insurance claim. Auditor has, say, attorney needs to check the claim with a third party. Right? Police need to investigate the cause. Both these flows need to run independent of each other and to be executed by separate entities. That is split join business use case. Okay. So this is not dynamic, unlike for each. Flows are pre-configured in advance. Right. So that is split join options here. Okay, I think there is a question here. Split join happens in the same work entity. However, split for each is for array of different work entities stored in page list. No, that understanding is not right. Both split join and split for each, all of them work on the same work object. So irrespective of all of these work on the same work object, they're not working on different work object. Both all split for each, split join, spin off, all of those are on the same work object, and split for each works as an input as a page list, which is right, and it loops through that page list and then creates separate flows. Split join, you already have pre-configured the flow instead of a loop. That you can consider more like right way for that would be like a case logic, or not even case. So maybe I'm not able to get the programming equivalent for this one, but consider it as like you have a sequence, a programming logic. You say calls a process 1, calls a process 2, calls a process 3. So you have, like, in a procedural way, you're just going to call these a process. You're not going in any loop to call them separately. Okay, so yeah, hope the understanding is clear now. Alright, let me know if there are any doubts around this. This concept was important in earlier versions of Pega. Over time in Pega 7, the use of split for each, split join is not that. I don't see any of people using these options now. One, there are like a lot of bugs around this. It's not yet stable, although it's been there since 5.x version. Honestly, it's not that stable yet. So there, I haven't actually seen a lot of people using this. Okay, most of the flows have some straightforward options. So say, okay, now let's take a look at this one here. Let's go to this live instance claim. So I think we already have the data type called as disease. Yeah. So we have disease name, doctor name, medication, suffering sense, and all this. Alright, so yesterday we were trying to take a look at data propagation, so that's what we will continue with today. We will propagate the data that we have from our main case to this child case. So the problem with the data propagation, why that was not happening, was because pages and page lists are not getting propagated. I have seen this error in PDN as well. I think it's probably a limitation or essentially a bug which Pega has to just confirm. But we can propagate single properties. Say, for example, I'm trying to tell you here is, if you go to this car insurance claim here, we have okay, and besides okay, I think let me just get started. Give me 1 second. Yeah. So, and besides, we can give the attachment category to be associated with the case here. We can just add the attachment category here. So I can just type in here confidential. Okay. So sometimes we can checkbox this required for resolution. This will ensure that this particular attachment has to be there on the case for the case to be resolved. So this is a practical use case, real-time use cases as well. But yeah, this is one option. Okay. But now going to this data propagation here. Okay. So you can see here there is something called as if you see here, and I have propagated something called as py note. In this review information, I just entered something like py note, and that py note is actually available in the child case here on this one here. So we will just create this flows and all this. Right, so yeah, so now we can data propagate single properties, not the entire pages as such. That we will need to do it via the data transform here. So we have to then, apart from propagating the single properties, the page and pages are not getting propagated, so we will have to apply data transform and use that option to propagate the data into this life insurance claim, okay, from the car insurance. Okay. So okay, so what we will try to do in today's session is not focus on the data propagation now. We will write the data transform a bit later because we need to complete the car insurance claim information, some more of it. Once we are done with that, then we will propagate all the data by applying the data transform. Okay, so what's of significance to us is this disease information. So we will create the grid here quickly, and after this we will send it to this doctor for analysis, where we will have a split for each, and then we will create multiple flows, multiple separate path for the flow to move forward. Okay. After that we will update the work object status. So as of now itself we can start updating the work object status. So say for example here on this investigate claim, say for example here we can have this option called as, here I think we can set the status here as at the start of this flow itself. We can set the status here as something called as pending investigation. These are like some out-of-the-box work status which are available, and if you want to see what are the standard work statuses which are available, you can just go to this process and under case yeah. I think there is a good landing page which shows us all the work statuses which are available. I think I might have missed it. It's there on the yeah. So under process, yeah, status values. Yeah, that's right. Under process, status values. So you can see all the standard. Yeah, right here. So these are all the standard flows, work status values which are already available out of the box. Keep in mind that these are, if you open these are like called as field values. They support localization. So it says translate from new. As of now we are in English, so it says translate from new to new. We will learn about field values a bit later. But I can just note it down here, but for now just know that these are like status values. They have something called as py status work, which ensures that that we can get these, and I think by default they have some colors and all assigned. If it is new, it's always in green shape, open is having a blue, pending having red, and resolved having this checked flag. So when the work object gets resolved, you will find here under the work object something like the checked flag and all that. Let's probably run it and then take a look at it. Right. So here on this flow we have the work status is pending investigation. Okay, the moment I check it, so Right, so we give work status as pending investigation. Right. So I will, at the end of this, right, so you can give the work status at multiple points. These are like a bit of theory, and I've just mentioned it here. You can take a look at it. But what's important is, say, there are multiple other points where we can enter the flow names or the work status here. So I think basically at the start with the assignment flow itself, we can like set here something like pending fulfillment. Okay. Okay. Then after this here on this card insurance claim here, under review information, we can probably set it pending approval or pending review or something like that. So here we set pending approval or pending. There's nothing called as pending review. Probably for now we just put as pending approval. Essentially, we're going to just send it to someone for review. So later on, we will route it to some person. Okay. And yeah, so let's just run our flow. And let's see if the work statuses are getting set. So currently, this is where in the screen flow that we created. Apparently, there is no way to see it in the out-of-the-box UI, but we can just add the flow status somewhere there. So, or else if you open the PI work page here, we should be able to find the PY status work. You see here it shows pending fulfillment. Okay. Suppose we reach the last step and then we click finish. Right. Now under this information here, see here it says pending approval. Now the status has changed from pending fulfillment to pending approval, and you see the color here on this flag also is like now red. Okay, so the standard thing what Pega says is whenever you have the word pending in the start of your status, or if you create a new status, you will just have to live with the fact that pending hyphen, you have the red color there. Okay, or you can actually modify all this feeding in a bit into the code, but just FYI, these are like for your information stuff, not really that deal breaker stuff. Okay, now the thing that I was telling you about the simple data propagation there is under the review screen. Say, for example, I say this is hello from Arcade. Okay, and we think there may be loss of life. Please run completely. Okay, some information we are passing on to an agent who's going to work on the life insurance claim. So this is some information you can actually pass on, like from case to case, or this is like case specific information. So if you just want to pass on case specific information, even you can go for a Pega Pulse as well, but this is just to show you the data propagation. So you come here and then we add work 𝐿 claim. Okay, now if you look at the clipboard here for this L-8, inside this PI work page, now so you should be able to find this PY note here. See here. Now inside this L claim L-8, you are able to see this UI, this PY note here. So if I just put the UI here, you will be able to get it. Right. So that's about the data propagation and work status. Now what we're going to do is we're going to now create this UI for disease info. Okay. So you can now go to this life insurance claim open this process called as disease info, open the flow action. I think you have to create the flow action. So I don't think any of this is created. Enter disease info. So I'm just saving and closing this. Otherwise, after some time, the system will give me an error saying that it's not able to open new tabs and all this problem. So here I'm just going to, so if you see the disease info is at 𝐿_𝐶laim level, so you create and open it. And so now we have the option either to create this section at the 𝐿_𝐶laim level, or remember the way that we learned yesterday, we can use a page defined by property and do it. Now the question here is, will this disease info hold only information about the disease, or will it also hold some random information, something about the case or anything like that? If it holds something else, then we should create it at the 𝐿_𝐶laim level. If it holds only information about the disease, it's better to create it at the disease level. But because we don't have clarity on that yet, we can just go with creating at the 𝐿_𝐶laim level for now, and then go forward with the case creation, the section creation here. Okay. Again, the section we're creating it at 𝐿_𝐶laim. So we're going to create a grid here, which within the dynamic layout we're going to click and put a repeating layout, okay, which is nothing but a grid. Okay, now on this grid, you can now put the property called as .diseaseList, right, as a property here. So for the grid, so I think so we can say list of diseases. So I will just make this editable inline editing, right? And yeah, I think it says I'll make it as a spreadsheet style. I'll give it default content, and I think we're good. So here we have, now I'll give the input here, say .disease name, I'll give the name of disease, right? The other option that we have is, say for example, I say suffering sense, and I will change the control to be a date time, and on date time control I will just make it only date, okay, and I will not okay, I will allow text entry. The read-only format is also just date. So let's say we will enter suffering sense, right, and then we will add one more row here, like the name of doctor. Okay, and maybe we will add just one more, which is for medications, and I'll give here, I'll give a text area which they can like enter some information, right? So medications and other notes. Okay. Now this is how you will design the grid. Okay, and we'll just save this. So we click submit and we save this. Oops. Okay, so I will save the flow action. Right. So now if you just refresh this one here, yeah, you see this is how the UI is now turned out. So we can probably make the UI a little bit more better at a later point of time. So we can, actually this should have shown as a summary also. Hold on. Under the recent tab, we have entered something called as grid summary. So, or a grid header, and all these things also we can show. Display header always under operations, presentations. Yeah, so say display container header, and then you will say include icon with title. We can just select some random icon here just for the heck of it, just to make the UI a little bit more neater. I think yeah, this may help. Okay, so here we'll give the title like disease details, and just type list here. Right. Right, so let's come back here and then let's refresh this. Right. So okay, so we can just enter like something like and then I will say suffering since some date, and then I say Dr. A, and then we enter some notes, and then we show here bone bone problem, and I say suffering since some date, and I say Dr. B, and then test 2. So now if I were to save this here, you can see here we can see here this is how the UI would turn up. If you open the clipboard here, we have the exact page list that we need within the PI work page. You will find the disease list here, the disease list 1 and then disease list 2. Here, bone problem, and this. So this is exactly what now we have for the flow now. Okay, so we can now give this as an input for our split for each. Now inside this let's now open our flow for this doctor analysis, and then we will configure the split for each. Okay, so where will we find the split for each? It's under advanced shape. Here you have the split for each option. So you put this flow here. Okay, inside this one here. So here what we will do is we will change the work status of this as also as pending hyphen something like pending. Say for now we'll put it as pending, or we'll put it as pending hyphen review. Okay, when we'll create that. Okay, so observe this field name will be always be by status work. The identifier for this should be pending. I don't think it allows hyphens. and always keep this at the framework level. Okay, now because this is something that's going to be useful at the entire application, this is also something that you should actually put at the framework level. Click create and open. Okay, so translate from pending review to pending review. So right, so save this. Now here on the split for each, let's configure it the way I showed you in the UI. So adapters analysis, right? Now we say split join as we want all of the reviews to come in. Only then we will go forward. So we have the disease list here, and then by default it says filter by process flow, or do you want end-to-end flow, or do you want a screen flow here. We can give a process flow. Okay, so I will give some, we will need to create a flow as well in the so I will create doctor business. Okay, so this is now at the data-disease level. Maybe we should give the same name. We can just give just say analysis, not doctor analysis. We just treat the flow call as analysis at the data level. Now this flow, keep in mind that this is at the 𝐴𝐼 claim data. This is on the data layer. We are now trying to incorporate some business logic there. Okay, so here we can just say route to, as of now we'll just put route to the current operator, and we can now give something like action step, or just say some approve and something like this, some standard flow action, or we can just give something like, basically he just has to enter some input. For now we will just give him this approve option. Okay, okay, we don't need this. This is not our parent case. Just put it like this. So it says doesn't exist. Okay. Why was this coming up? Right, that's because we created the flow. Okay, we just had to create the flow just manually like this. So we can just create it like this. Analysis. Okay, and here we will just give it as approve. Okay, now we save it. Hold on, I think it's trying to reference. Okay, I think yeah, a couple of things that we need to be careful. The rule set of this has to reside on our work level. I don't think we have that luxury as well. Done. So it's currently residing on 𝐴𝐼 claim. Hold on. What happens when I create a screen flow? So when I create a screen flow, apparently for some reason I'm not getting this error. It's like a lot of So let's go to the flow here that I just created now. So what I did was 𝐺𝑖-claim-data-disease. Okay, now I just created a flow here, which is this analysis flow, which was I created it as a screen flow. And apparently screen flow doesn't seem okay. I think I might have to give the flow here as work dash. That would work. Okay. Alright, so the way to get rid of this error is just to give the top level class as just the parent creating normal flow. Right, so I just delete the screen flow that is created now, and instead just go to this one. We'll make just work dash. Alright, and say save. Okay, good. Okay, so to get rid of that error, we just had to make the top level as just work dash, but dynamically this is only for the design time. So we say process flow and we say analysis here. Okay, and we save this. Same thing, shows flows in transport. Now we will come to here -8. Right, so we click submit now. Yeah, so there is a review step as well. So as of before we go to the doctor analysis, but I think we can just move forward with that. I'll just cross check if all the entries are done. Save this. Maybe we can, yeah, pending review. And once we end it, we will be like, alright. Okay, I'll just advance the case for now. Yeah, you see here, because I entered two of them, two diseases, it says now both these, you see two entries of the analysis. So the analysis that this flow got instantiated 2 times, and if you look at here it says pending review, and besides the assignment we have the note that we propagated from the parent. Okay, so we can just say doctor gives some note, right? Now if you look at the stage here, it is on this doctor analysis, but if you observe here carefully on this particular step, you have like 2 assignments here. Okay, basically 2 separate flows. Okay, and if you can just complete one. Okay, now that is complete. You see now the assignment just became 1. Open assignments is only 1. We click on this again, then we say something else, and then we click submit to, and then you see now because we completed both of those, this step is completed. Now we see here, now that we got the checkbox, and now this is gone to the next step. This is a review. So essentially what just happened now was we were able to enter the disease information, do a split for each recursively on that particular case, and then it took us into took us into the loop, and it completed the loop and it moved forward. Okay, so I hope this is clear. So if you come here, we just to go through, we enter the disease information like 1, 2, and came to here, and it created like 1 for 1, and then it created for 2, and then we got it merged, and when it merged, it came to this level. Right. Alright, so let me know if this is the work status. We are on day 12. Let's say So theory for all this is here on date 12_1. Just a little bit more theory and split for each. Just right, so again for screen flow as well, this we have already studied for screen flow, but a little bit more theory that I've just put across. I think we have done screen flow on an earlier session. So alright, so that's about the advanced flow processing, and after this we will just talk a little bit about the theory of work parties, and we will be done with the case design. Right, so that's it with regard to the exercise. Alright, so here we had done screen flows on day 8, so I'll just update this as the 8. That would come here. Right, now what we have to understand here is work parties. So I think if you guys have already done my support application, you must have already seen that work parties, even in CSA you must have learned this. Work parties are people who are just associated with the case. We want to capture information about people who are related or relevant to that particular case. So in real-time systems, these could be customers. Say, for example, the right approach to this is these could be people who are going to do the processing, like the claimant is a party to the case. Then if the attorney of the advocate, the attorney, all these people are all parties to the case because they are linked to the case, okay, because they have a business interest on that particular case. So those people are called as work parties, and you can programmatically get this coming into Pega application by virtue of doing something like this. So all you need to do is, if you go to the particular case here, go to the car insurance claim, so for example, so you have something here called as parties here. So you can click on this. So these are the parties. By default already has customer, owner and interested. You can just add a new party called as like claimant, or you can just say the attorney. Okay, so you can just say what type of party he is. It could be an operator, it could be an external person. So as of now, we'll give him a third party person. The advocate of the right. So now we have 3 options on a work party rule which gets created in the backend, which is, do you want it to be displayed on creation? Is it required? Or are you expecting multiple parties for this? So when you select display on creation, it will actually stop us from creating the case during the case creation itself. Before the case is actually created, it will create a UI screen. A UI would be there where you can just enter some information about the work party. So for now, I'll just click all 3 of this and I'll show you how the behavior works. You click run here. You see here, earlier it was giving me a screen directly. It would take me to entering the information about the car, but now it tells me that advocate of the claimant, this is important. So I can just say enter some A and A.com. Now I have the option called as I think did I make it? Yeah, so see, I can now click on create. Now say for example, I go to the case view, and on the right hand side of the case view you will find here, you see here participants. So in Pega currently they call it as like participants, like people who are associated with the case. So here, say for example, the moment I click this one, it will automatically take me to like Gmail for sending an email, or this will give the contact information. Click over this, it gives you a pop-up giving you the name, email, and all the information that you entered earlier. Okay, and if you click on manage here, I think it should have allowed us to add multiple people. Say suppose I checkbox allow multiple. Okay, then what happens is, say run. Okay, and I can now enter this advocate here. Okay, now I have additional option called as, here I can enter this again here. Earlier if you see, I can just see only select party again, but now I can select it again, and this creates one more entry. Say B, and I can just select one more. I can have multiple advocates, multiple entries for the same thing. So let's select this again. So see, it has like created 4 of them in the backend now. So TDT. So this could be a real-time use case. Like sometimes if it's a big shot, you can have multiple advocates vying for the same guy. So that's just about it. So that's one use case of having multiple work parties, same work parties here. Now you see here, you have multiple options here. That is the option of allow multiple. Right? Pretty straightforward, right? Like it's not that complicated. So you say allow multiple required and display on creation. So suppose now I give display on creation alone. Then what happens is you run this and it just shows here. Okay. Now if I uncheck the display on creation, okay, then what happens is it will allow you to create the case as usual. See here, it goes directly to the C-this entry. Then later on in the case, you can add it if you need. If you go to this manage option under participants, you can add it here if you need. Okay, so here you can add it. This. So here you can just give it here. Okay. Alright, so that was it about work parties, but not that complicated. This is kind of a CSA topic, but yeah, it just comes up here. Alright, I think that's all from my end for today. Hope you understood the concepts. Let me know if there are any doubts. Okay, so, yeah. Alright, okay then, if here there are no doubts, then I will upload the video in some time for the exercise. Try to do this advanced loop processing exercise, and I think we're good. Right?
Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, Rahul, this is Sandeep. So when can I get all the videos of the previous class or something?
Once I get a confirmation from Ashok.
Okay.
So Ashok confirms that you are enrolled in the class, and then I'll give you the videos and I'll give you access to this class notes as well.
Yeah, okay. And
So
one more
Rahul,
thing, what I see from like today's classes, like you are going into the totally domain insurance domain, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
I've just taken one sample example and I'm just covering on insurance domain, but
so if I want to know a few things about other domains also, can I get all those in the PDN, like something banking or something healthcare?
yeah, I can show you where you can find it in PDN. You have, yeah, I can show that to you where to find it in the PDN. So you have the business requirements and all that, you'll find it easily in PDN. So for each of those domains.
Okay. Okay, Rahul. Thank you.
So Rahul, here we covered split for each, right? So we
Yeah.
have two more functionalities, no? So are we not going to do those?
No, we won't be doing split join and spin-off. We won't be doing those because it's really easy to do those. Split join, split for each is a tough one. If you want, I can show it to you, but it's really straightforward. So I can probably run through it in tomorrow's session. I can just show it up to you, or even like why do we have to wait for tomorrow's session? I can just show it to you right away. It's say for example here you click on this. Here we have split join. Okay, now you double click on the split join shape and then you just specify the flow here. So you see here it says specify a flow rule. You give the flow rule name here, whichever flow that you want to separately spin off, and another one here you give the flow here as well. And if you want to add additional flows, you just keep adding it here and then mention the name of the flow. That's all that's there for this. And the join condition is same. You either join all of them, you join if any of them completes, then you move forward in the flow, or if some of them completes. But the concept here is you just give the flow names here. That's all. The flow rule you just give it here, and we're good. Similarly here also you give the flow rule name. So you can give the same flow rule here multiple times. Then also it would create the same flow again and again, like the X number of times you give here. Or you can give separate flows, which is actually the use case, and then you can expect the system to create multiple separate paths. But it's just as simple as just giving the flow name here, that's all. Nothing, just nothing additional here.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Rahul.
Right. So, but make sure you do the split for each. This is the complicated one. Generally, people get stuck here. And because you have a page list and all this configuration, people tend to make mistakes there. Right?
Okay.
All right. I think that's all from my end. I think Sudha, I think people who want to leave the class can leave. Sudha has a doubt the yesterday's session. I'm just going to take a look at her system now. Right, Sudha, I'm making you the presenter. You can. But before that, hold on, I will just log out of the machine and, all right, yeah, okay. Made you the presenter. Yeah, now you, okay, can you give me control as well? Let me take a look. What is the configuration mess? Yeah. Now let me open the privilege here. Let's go to records. Now you under process, we have the attachment category. Okay, the first mistake here that you have done is you should have created this at the framework level as I had asked you. Okay, you have created at the work level, which is wrong. Now, next thing is you have admin of confidential files. Let me open this. Maybe you have not assigned it to, yeah, you have not assigned it to a role. So you had to do that. I think this is all there in the video. I'm not sure why this was missed. If you go to the access group here, hold on, if you go to the access group here, you have the processing app :administrator. Hold on, I'm taking control here. Give me 1 second. So here, this is not done. You've not completed the exercise actually. So if you see here, now you have given it at framework data level here, which is wrong. This is not the class you need to give it at. See, you have created it at a class called as AIG claim work level. So The class there is wrong. I'm not sure why. No, hold on. No, hold on. I'm having control of the application here. If you see here, the admin of confidential file, that's an AIG claim, one proc work. So you should add the privilege of that class. The class you here, AGI claim. Okay. Instead, you have added it at the data level. I don't know why you have added it at the data level. It's wrong. So here you should just say admin. Yeah. Right. And this is wrong. You should probably get rid of this. Delete this one. So the error was that you put in the wrong class. So now if you save this access group here, now if you come back to this privilege here, you should be able to see that role here. Refresh this. Okay, can you log out and log in once? Yeah, you see now it comes up here. Now you should be able to see that. Now can you run the keys? You can click on create on the top. Or yeah, okay. Open the CF and see itself, no problem. Right. Okay. Right. I think it's clear, right? No? Okay. All right. Then I will log out for the day. Now, if there are any doubts, let me know. Just drop me a mail or something. Okay. All right. Good day, everyone.